All right, everybody, welcome back to another great edition of our favorite show to do each week, Random Conversations. I am your host, as always, Richie Rich, and I'm welcoming into the show tonight my co-host, John Wayland. What's up, brother? How you doing tonight?
I am doing amazing. It's a great night. Glad to be here. We're going to have some fun. I don't know what we're going to talk about tonight, but we're going to have some fun talking about it nonetheless. Life is fantastic. The weather's beautiful out this week.
Yeah, you're in sweater weather still.
It is I think it's like 60 degrees right now, 65 degrees. And
yeah, it's still 101 over here, dude.
It's been like unseasonably hot still. It's in the 80s right now during the day, but then at night.
You poor bastard.
Oh, I know that 80s weather. It's tough living out where I live right now.
I'm sure that sun's beating down on your ass at 80 degrees.
Breaking my neck out there, and all that heat and all that craziness. But in a few months, we'll have winter, and you'll have nice 80-degree temperatures every day, and you can rub it into me when I'm freezing my ass
I might
off.
be able to wear a sweatshirt, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe for a week.
I'll be bundled up in every freaking thing in the world, man. Thermals, you name it. That's the not fun part about the winter out here. But what's new with you, man? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm doing great, brother. I feel like things have been challenging in life lately for a lot of people, and we just roll with the punches out here, and do the best we can. In life, you go through challenges. It makes you stronger. It presses you into what you're supposed to be, and I think that's kind of the message for tonight's show. Like, even though life gives you lemons, man, you squeeze that shit and you make lemonade.
Yeah, I like it, man. It's a good topic because it's like a true thing about life is, if you just give up every time it gets hard, you're going to be giving up a shit ton because
for sure.
It's not easy in this world right now.
No,
what's been going on with you? What challenges have you been encountering? What things have you seen that's been going on in others?
Just like in everybody's household, you go through marriage problems and stuff like that. And that's kind of what's, been going on in my household. And, sometimes you go through that kind of stuff and it's rough. The best marriages work it out together. True love always finds its way, in my opinion. And we're working through our stuff, man. There's a lot of adjustments that we both need to make. And we're definitely trying to do that. We're trying to work on things, work on ourselves, and get through things.
What adjustments are you trying to make?
Me, myself, I'm trying to make more time to be home. A lot of times in life, when you're a man, it's either you're a really good provider or you're really not good provider and you're at home all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard nowadays to balance that, especially when you're in my world and the industry that I'm in, because money is so I always say if you're in HVAC and refrigeration, you have a license to print money.
Mm-hmm.
And that money becomes an addiction, just like any other drug. So when you're seeing, your savings go up at a rapid rate, when you're able to do things that you've never been able to do in your life and stuff like that, you'll go out there and you'll grind, wake up 3 a.m, not get home till 7, 8 o'clock at night, hop on the podcast and not really have a lot of time other than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually an hour. You have dinner, you say your hellos at the dinner table and you go to bed. So one of the ways that I'm trying to, be more readily available for my family is, I'm trying not to work as much, man. And it's hard because there's a lot of goals that I want to reach at a rapid pace. I'm like you, I'm a very money motivated individual. And so now I got to slow it down a little bit. And it's worth it, somebody at my work, one of my customers pointed it out to me. One of the smartest things I've ever heard. You can have all the money in the world. You can have all the work in the world. But the time with your family, you're never going to get back.
Yeah, that's true.
And what good is the money if you're not able to enjoy it with the people that you love most?
Yeah, no, it's a true sentiment, man. It's a really true statement.
Yeah.
It sucks that money's so important in this world that you got to have it to live,
Absolutely.
and you got to work really hard to make what you have and stuff.
Yeah.
Money is like a drug, though.
It is, especially because
I'm addicted to making it. I'll say
I'm addicted to making it too, because you get and success is an addiction. The more that you achieve, the more that you see that you're able to do that, it gives you a high as well. You feel like you're on top of the world, that nothing can stop you. I've also been having health issues, my stomach and stuff like that. I've probably got some sort of hernia that I'm stubborn as fuck and won't go get checked out. It's stuff like that I've slacked on and haven't really taken care of. It's important. My health is everything. If I continue on the path that I'm on, I'm not going to be able to make the money for my family and stuff like that.
Well, if you continue on the path of not taking care of yourself too, you might not live.
That's right. That's right.
Self-care is like the most important thing in the
And
world that we all fail to do so many times.
yeah, and then not having time to do shit around here, around the house and stuff like that. It all stacks up and it causes problems in marriage and stuff because, you need to have a healthy balance of everything. And when you don't have that, um, you lose touch of things. You lose touch of things. You lose touch of your relationship. You think in your head that you're not affecting your relationship by being gone all the time, that you're being a really good provider, and you think, well, why are they upset with me? I'm giving them everything that they ever wanted, but what they really want is you.
Mm-hmm.
What they really want is your time, you to be there enjoying it and stuff like that. And that's something I'm trying to learn. I mean, that's an issue that I've had a problem with, is I just don't know when to stop.
You don't want to give it up at the expense of your family and what's important,
Right.
though.
Right.
I mean, making money is important, of course, in life.
It
And
is.
as you said, I'm very money driven too. So
Sure.
I'm not gonna. I know what I do wrong, like you do. Like I get it.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm a
not gonna.
man, dude. Like, I'll admit when I'm fucking up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit over here and I can give advice here, but it doesn't mean
Yeah.
I always follow it because I've
Sure.
done the same thing. I mean, you get addicted to making it, and it's nice when you make it and you see that account grow, or you have a lot of things that come up in life, and like it happens to everybody, where you got to burn a lot of money sometimes on things. It might be home
Yeah.
repairs, it might be medical bills. I had that
Vehicle.
happen to me recently.
Yeah.
I've dumped a fortune, and you know, you know about it and stuff, and things that for your house and things that you didn't foresee happening. Thank God we
Yeah.
saved, and then we put it away.
Yeah.
We can
For
afford
sure.
to do it. But for guys like us, it gets scary to us when we're dropping $10,000-$15,000 on something, and we're like, that's a lot of money that we worked hard for. So
Well, and
then,
you don't know if that money flow is always going to be coming in, right?
sure,
You
sure,
have your monsoons, and you have your dry spots of making money. So when
yeah,
that money's coming in good, you got to get it, man. You got to get
yeah,
out there and get it. Nobody's going to give it for you. And I'll tell you one thing, like, when you grow up poor and you start to see that kind of success, and you're able to provide that for yourself and stuff that
sure.
you didn't have, dude, it's even more hard to stop doing it,
Oh, absolutely.
because now you're getting things that you never thought you would have. You're experiencing things that you never thought you would, and you're providing things that you never thought you could.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's hard to let that go.
Dude, money's a powerful thing because when you start making it and you start getting to the point in life where you can do the things that you never did,
Mhm.
or things that you've always wanted to do, or you can see the fruits of your labor in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in a house, a car, a fat account, money,
Right.
whatever. That's a beautiful thing, but it's this awful thing that happens to us too. We've talked about it on the show here, before, is when you start making that, it's not enough. And then it's
No,
like,
no.
it's like, okay, I made a grand.
Yeah.
Grand's great. Oh, awesome. I want to make another 5,000 next, and then
Right.
10,000, 15, 30, 60, 100, you're going up
Yeah.
and up, and you're never satisfied and content.
No.
And, it's a bad quality to have, because
It is a bad quality, and I'll say this too, to admit my own faults. And like I said, I'm a big boy. I know when I'm wrong, and what I do wrong. Um, when you work that much and you're not getting as much sleep as you need, your mind isn't going to be healthy, and you're not going to be the happiest person to be around at
yeah.
certain times. Especially in the morning. That's one of my faults. I'm a grumpy bastard in the morning. It's because my body aches. I've had a stroke at a very young age, and it really weighs on me. I have to work that much harder to think properly. I have to work that much harder to keep up on my left side, and my right side tries to compensate for it because the left side of my body goes numb and
Mm-hmm.
tingly. So I'm a grumpy bastard in the morning, man. I'm in a lot of pain, like you are. You have a lot of health issues too, and pains that you go through, and it sucks, man. It sucks real bad. So I appreciate the fact that my wife is patient with me. She understands those types of things. But everybody has their limit. Everybody has their limit. No matter how much you love somebody, that only goes so far. And you really gotta, when there's issues, and there's things that she does too, and,
Sure.
and she can speak on those to people and stuff. I'm not going to address those issues on here, but there's things that I need to change about myself, and I'm man enough to admit that. and for my family to grow together and closer, I'll make those adjustments, you know, because it's worth it to me. If these are the things that they're addressing to me as a man and as the head of this household, I need to make those adjustments, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to let it get to the point where it becomes too late at some point too, you
Right.
know.
Absolutely.
I've been guilty of that in the past, man, where there's things I could have done way different that, who knows, maybe if I did those things different, maybe a couple things could have shifted around and done,
Right.
you know, made a change and could have gone for the better, you know, but you
Yeah.
live and learn on those things. You just don't want to wait till it's too late to change things about yourself, you know.
I think maturing, like when we're young men, we're so full of piss and vinegar that we can do no wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're stubborn in the fact that we think that we're the hot shit and fucking there's nothing on this planet that we could do wrong and all that stuff. You know, as I've matured and as I've grown older, I realize I make mistakes. And you know, the best saying that I ever heard was from a video you shared with me.
Yeah.
If you fall in life, you fall forward. At least learn something when you fall. You know, and it goes with anything, whether it's at your work, whether it's at, you know, your personal relationships, your friendships, your family, your wife, your spouse, that kind of thing. If your guys' marriage is falling or failing, at least fall forward when it's all said and done. Both of you learn something about each other and you come closer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's, you know, failure is inevitable though. And it's one of the things we have to recognize in life. We can't accept it all the time. We have to learn from it and grow from it. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, you learn the most from your biggest failures in life sometimes. Yeah. And that's an unfortunate thing. You can have a million successes and a million great things that you do and a million things that people want to model after you. But you often don't learn as much as you do from when you fell flat on your face and you made some big mistakes in life or you had some bad things happen to you. You don't always learn as much from that.
And I'll tell you what, dude, love is hard. Like it's the hardest thing in the world. You know, that's why true love is even harder to find because, you know, it's about showing up. It's about showing up for your spouse and being there, and humility and stuff like that are very important in a relationship. You got to admit when you're wrong. You have to be able to look in the mirror and admit when you're wrong in situations. You know, it has to be a give and take situation. It can't be all take, or your marriage will never work. You know,
and you can't be the one too to always admit being wrong all the time. So the other person,
you can't be a pushover. Yeah,
dude. Well, I think we've all been there at some point in a relationship where we've been a pushover for somebody. Sure. It's not a good feeling either.
It's not.
You know, but it's like failed relationships. I think if I know I can only speak for myself, so I can't speak for other people, but I think a lot of people would agree with me on what I'm about to say, that failing in a relationship, especially a marriage, is probably the most awful, demeaning, low moment of your life that you go through. Yeah, it's humiliating. It's embarrassing. It's the complete sign of failure right there. Yeah. You can't deny.
It makes it look like you haven't done your job in life.
Yeah, 100%. You wear that fucking failure right on your forehead, man. Oh, yeah. You know, always. And
especially because when you're getting married and everything's good, your family's there, your friends are there, they see it all. You know, you're supposed to be the man of the house, and then when your house fails, that falls on us as men. You know, I mean, that's the honest to God truth. I mean, we set the direction of our household. We're part of the two pillars of the house, being the wife and the man. But you know, we're supposed to go out there and get the shit done. We're supposed to take care of the family, be Superman. You know, tend to your wife's wants and needs, tend to your kids' wants and needs, and stuff like that. So, you know, as a man standpoint, we always have that stigma of we're not doing our job to the outside world when stuff like that falls apart, you know, because the woman, and I'm not trying to be sexist here, I'm just being honest.
No, it's just your opinion.
Yeah. When the woman takes off, she usually gets the kid, she goes off, she finds another man, and everything's hunky dory. They don't get looked down on like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's when you're the man, it's, well, what the fuck did he do to mess that up? You know? And that's a tough stigma to overcome, man. And I feel for men nowadays in those situations because sometimes it's not the case. You know,
my fucking friends I lost at my divorce. You know, I mean, you know that I've told you
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
You know,
it couldn't have been further from the truth. I mean, you had your faults in the marriage, and so did she, right? Yeah. And we can both admit that.
Yeah.
But you know, to lose. to have friends like that would choose sides in a situation like that, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
they left your side because they look at you as the villain because you're the man
yeah,
in the relationship.
and you know the reality was, and I'm not going to get into my divorce and what it was just a breakdown over time of things, but you know, when it came down to that situation, like you said, you get looked down upon as a man
You
sometimes
do.
in that circumstance. Man, people will take the side of the other person, even if there's no side for them to take and there's no
Right.
validity to what they're saying, or sometimes your silence is construed as you did something wrong when in reality you just don't want to talk
You
about it
just
with
don't want to
people.
fight anymore.
Yeah. And you see people's character when you go through rough shit in your life. You see
Yeah.
the character of the
You
people
do.
who stand by you,
Yeah.
that'll be there
1,000,000%.
for you. I know for me, friend wise, there was only a handful of people that was there every minute for me. You were there
Yeah.
for me all the time. Chris
Yeah.
was there for me. Daniel, my friend, was there for me. A couple other my good buddies around here, my family. But
Right.
man, you learn real fast in life when you're down and you fail, you're falling right in your face.
Yeah.
You learn who's there for you and who gives a shit.
Those
And you
people
learn
will
who's
pull
not.
you forward.
Absolutely.
They'll drag your ass forward. It's
So
important to have those relationships.
I don't know about you, but I like that shit sometimes. I like, I don't know. I like the adversity sometimes in life, and
Yeah.
I love when people count me out because I like
Yeah.
to. I like to. I like to come back, and I don't quit. And
Absolutely.
I'm not a quitter. I've had times where I've had nothing in life. I've had times where
Mhm.
I've had everything. I've had times where I fell flat on my face and was in
100%.
the worst points of my life. But
Yeah.
man, every little bit of adversity, I always tried to take it and grind with it,
Same here.
and losing relationships and stuff like that, man, it is hard work, but
It is.
it's the worst feeling in the world to go through. And I think sometimes we stay in relationships though too because we're worried about how it's going to look when we fail,
Right. 100%.
and that's a problem sometimes we do a lot of times too. It's like we
Yeah.
just don't want to look like a failure and we don't want to admit that it's done and it can't be fixed or something
Mhm.
like that. And I'm not saying that it's in your circumstance, I'm just saying in general.
No, in
And
general, yeah.
and we keep repeating the same mistake. It's like at a job too.
It's the definition of
Yeah,
insanity.
same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It's
Yeah.
like if like you ever had a job that you worked at that you just sucked at it.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a job like that?
Well, that you sucked at it or you just fucking couldn't stand it.
Both, maybe. Sucked at it, couldn't stand it. It
You
just
just
wasn't
kept
for
doing
you.
it out of your pride, getting in
Yeah.
the way. And I'm not gonna admit, like, especially like to your dad or something, I'm not gonna admit to him that I can't do this or I don't want to do it. So I'm gonna do it anyways to show him. You know what I mean?
I did that as a kid. I had a job at my 16th birthday. I was working at Burger King. Good pay, good hours. At the time I was making good money for a kid.
Mhm.
I got a bug up my ass. I wanted to be a dishwasher. Biggest mistake you could ever make in your life is to go be a dishwasher unless you had to do it. It's an awful job. You ever done it?
No, I never was a dishwasher.
It's the worst.
As a pizza boy, never a dishwasher.
Oh, the worst job ever. You're dirty, you're disgusting. My dad tells me, he's like, don't give up this job for that. Don't do it. He's like, you're going to regret it. It's not a desired job. Come on. You got a good thing going here. No, I didn't want to listen. My dad tries to talk some sense into me, didn't listen. Ended up taking the job. Within 30 minutes of being there, I knew I made the biggest mistake in the world by taking this job. But instead of, admitting that I made a mistake at this point in my life, here I am, going to work every day. And I did it for a month, 2 months, something like that, maybe even a little bit longer. And I hated it. And then I finally one day said to my dad, I quit. I couldn't do this job. I hate it. I'm getting another job. And then my dad just looked at me. He's like, how long have you felt this way? I said, well, just recently. He's like, to be honest, how long have you felt this way? Since the minute I started it. He's like, why didn't you say it? Well, I didn't want to say I made a wrong choice. Yeah, didn't want to say I made a wrong choice. And again, I told you so. And my dad's like, so you went over there every day, and instead of just admitting you were wrong in this circumstance,
eating the humble pie, man.
Yeah, just saying I was wrong and moving on and learning from it. And you did it every day and went to do something you hated just out of stupidity. He's like, not a smart move.
Not a smart move.
Be forefront with people, honest with them.
Yeah.
Take your licks like a man.
I think that's the biggest thing is honesty with yourself and honesty with everybody else in your life. Like that's the biggest plague I think we as humans face. Like when you're doing stuff you don't want to do for somebody or that you're in with and you don't communicate it with them because then it builds up into resentment and then by the time it all comes out, it's an explosion. And it's something that you can't control at that point because you're so mad that all you're thinking about is the anger that you're feeling and not the overall situation, that this could have been worked out at a sooner time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I just would have spoke up sooner, this wouldn't be the snowball effect that it is.
You never want to get to the point too where you resent your partner, you know,
Right.
your love, you know, your life, your person you're supposed to
Right.
be, you know, defending and protecting for the rest of your life and being the
Right.
best partner you can be for them. Like,
Well, and it's crazy because you look at your past and how much you love the person and what you've
Mhm.
been through and all you've done for that person, and you get to that point and it's almost like you're in a state of shock because you're like, is this really happening? Like,
Mhm.
is this really ending all the effort that I put in, all the time that I put in, the blood, sweat, the tears, the going through hell, all this stuff, and we're just gonna walk away like this?
Mhm.
You know, it's a humbling experience to go through, man. It is. And you're either gonna get in the trenches like you promised you would in sickness and in health and fight for your marriage or your relationship, whatever it is out there, or you're gonna make the other choice that a lot of people make nowadays, and it's to walk away.
Yeah.
But either way, you got to do what's healthy for you and your mind. I'm not saying to stay in a relationship that's at a dead end. I'm not one of those that, you know, says, "Oh, you need to make it work no matter what."
But at least give it a
Sometimes
fucking try.
at least give it a try. Sometimes people don't work out, and that's just the reality of life, you know.
You can fight it sometimes all day long. Like I look at my ex-wife, and I don't have anything bad to say about her. She's a very good person, and in so many ways, we were just different people, you know.
Just different people.
Just different people, you know. And I'm not ever going to badmouth her to anybody like that
Sure.
because it would be bullshit, you know. She had
Mhm.
so many tremendously wonderful qualities to her too,
Sure.
you know, and she also had a lot of ones I didn't like, and that's
Right.
why it just didn't work out. And
And
I
that's
can say,
okay,
yeah, it
you know.
is, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt, for the most part, I think we did everything we could have done. We stayed together for 18 years, and we had a lot of great times, and I think
Yeah.
she would admit to that.
Beautiful children, you know.
Absolutely, but we
Yeah.
had a lot of bad times too at certain
Sure.
points, and we just weren't compatible with one another. But we
Yeah.
gave it effort, and I'm at least proud of that. I'm not proud of the mistake that I made, and I try to use it as I try to use it as a learning tool for my kids, and as
Mhm.
I move towards further relationships in my life with
Yeah.
people, is I'm never going to make some of these same choices again. And
Right.
I think sometimes too, when I see this with people, is like the opposites attract thing. And it's like, yeah, they might attract temporarily sometimes
Mhm.
too. But when you're completely the polar opposite of your partner, the
Yeah.
likelihood of you clashing huge is going to be hard. So I knew for
It's the
me,
truth.
I want somebody that's very similar in my beliefs and very
Yeah.
similar in
You
my
can be a best
lifestyle.
friend.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to be this guy that's going to go out with you and be, you know, tearing down the clubs till 4 a.m. I'm not going to
Right.
be this guy that jumps around and goes everywhere and does this, and this and parties it up. I'm a
Yeah.
quiet, introverted person. I like to stay at
Sure.
home. My ex wasn't. She
Right.
would always want to be go, go, go. I didn't want to be. It's not who I am.
Mhm.
Opposites don't always attract too, folks, because of that. You
Right.
know, you will clash with one another. Like
You
with your
will.
exes, when you see it, like, were you guys opposites or similar personalities?
You know what? We in my previous relationship, I don't even like calling it a marriage because the marriage should have probably never happened. We met off of drugs and stuff like that, and everybody knows I've had substance abuse issues. I've said it on the show before, so it's not really a shocker here. But that's how my original, I guess, quote unquote marriage started, was drug addiction. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and in drug addicted relationships, usually your odds of making it after you get sober are very, very slim to none.
Yeah.
Um, I had gotten sober first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was still on her medicine and stuff like that. And I, for a long time, was asleep. My body was asleep, everything like that, being on those kinds of medicine. You know, your body, you're very introverted, you're very sleep all the time, that kind of thing. Um, so when I came out of it, I wanted to go do things.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do my collection. I wanted to do this podcast with you. I wanted to be the best I could be at work and all that kind of stuff. See my friends again, that kind of thing. And she took it as I basically abandoned her,
Mm-hmm.
and but we were already disconnected prior to that
Mm-hmm.
because we saw everything differently, much like what you're saying. you
Similar
know.
paths, but very opposite styles and personalities, right?
Opposite styles and personalities. She was very much into the drama of her family members. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything that her sister
Oh Lord.
went through, we had to take on. She had to come live with us when they went into some financial issues.
Jesus.
It was never going to be about my household. It was always going to be about fixing somebody else's. And I got to a point where I couldn't take it anymore, and I got to a point where I was being viewed as just a financial provider, not just for my household, but somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really the last straw or the last nail in the coffin of that relationship was I'm not going to be taken advantage of when there's two capable adults that have a child that can provide for their own family and build what we have, themselves. They're capable of it. They're just not doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wasn't willing to keep my mouth shut about it anymore. And I wasn't willing to put myself in that bind anymore or that responsibility of taking care of two households.
Mm-hmm.
We got to a point where I was sleeping in a separate room. That's when you really know things are going downhill,
Yeah.
when you're not even able to be in the same room as the person.
I didn't sleep in the same room with my ex for like 6 months at one point.
That's when it's pretty much a done deal.
You're just like fucking just roommates passing each other by that really don't like each other that much anymore.
You really don't like it, and it sucks, dude.
You're
Like,
just there because you gotta be.
it's a brutal thing to go through because, like, when your family members don't know about those issues going on, and Christmas and holidays are coming around, and you got to go kind of play the part. And, oh yeah, we're doing good, but you're really fucking not. You're not even looking at each other. You don't even want to breathe the same fucking air. Like, it's hard, dude. It was a very hard time to go through for me.
Did you openly share it with people though, like outside of a couple of good friends?
I shared it with you.
Yeah.
I remember sharing it with you, my distaste for the situation, and kind of my game plan for where I was going. You knew that I knew that the writing was on the wall for that.
Of course, yeah.
And that was a hard time for me, man, because it's like we're saying, you stay in things sometimes just because you want to prove people wrong and be like, no, that's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to be a statistic and shit like that. But then, as a man, I had to get over myself in that fact and be like, okay, it's okay to go be by myself. It's okay to do things for myself and to make myself happy. I had to get over that. I was so codependent on fixing everybody's shit back then, that I lost track of myself, and I had to find that again. And I did, and it took a good long while. And when you go through that, it's a punch in the gut, because everything that you defended, everything that you worked for turned to shit. And you have to learn how to pick yourself up out of that and realize at the end of the day, you still have yourself that you're responsible for waking up each and every day and being happy. And if you're happy, you can't make other people happy. Happen. No matter how hard you try, you will never be truly happy, and others around you won't be truly happy until you fix yourself.
It's the worst facade to live with too, when you have to kind of portray you're happy when you're not.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Like people do that shit like on social media all the time. You'll see it on Facebook. That's why
they force it.
Yeah. Like it's why I hate shit like that. Like with Facebook, where people's putting every fucking day, Susie got the second place award in this place, and here's my love of my life. He's wonderful and did this, or she is. And maybe some of these situations it's true, but you see people who just put bullshit up there and then they hate each other behind closed doors. Yep. Like they're not honest with it.
They're not
honest with themselves on it.
It's a sad way to live.
It is, but we've all been there too, so we can't judge that. How many times did you try to talk yourself into believing that, it wasn't
everything was okay?
Yeah, well, it's good,
or I'll handle it next month. I can stay out of the house for this amount of time and come home and still kind of make it work. Like there's all these kind of bullshit games that you try to play with yourself.
Love will see us through.
Yeah. I never felt that way, but when you get in a situation where you're comfortable, right? You're comfortable with the situation and you accept it for a while. It's hard to get out of that mindset of making an actual move or an actual change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to literally, it's almost like with drugs. You have to literally hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Before you will make an actual change in relationships.
Yeah.
It's the truth. It comes to a boiling point because both of you are sitting there in your feelings. You're afraid to tell each other. You're afraid to make a move because you don't know what kind of eruption that's going to cause in the rest of your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if she's going to go for broke and try to take everything you have or hurt you, say egregious things, get you arrested, domestic violence, whatever the case may be. These are realities people go through every day. It can ruin careers. It can ruin your life.
If you run into your ex on the street, could you talk to her?
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't. We had such differences that it ended so bad in the end. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Like, what would you do if you ran into her right now?
There's a saying out. It's the people that you used to be close to become strangers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we became, is strangers.
Yeah, it's a good thought, man.
So to me, she's another face in the crowd. I would never approach her to speak to her. I wish her the best in the fact that I'm a human being and I know how hard life is and I don't wish bad on anybody. But I don't want any part of your life because we got to a boiling point where we were so toxic for each other that it just was smart enough to walk away, for the two of us. One of us was, and I'm not saying this in a crazy way or anything, but there was no good coming out of staying.
Mm-hmm.
You
ever like go back and think about things sometimes, and it's like then you get like these visuals in your head of like things and moments you had and different parts of your life and memories that you shared together or went through, because usually in cases of relationships, especially partnerships or marriages or whatever, people have been doing it for years upon end of their life most times,
Right.
Some really long, some others. Like, do you ever feel yourself just like randomly reminiscing about like certain things from years before or something that pops up in your head, or was it not long enough to be with that person to do that?
It wasn't long enough, and there was nothing really that meaningful that happened during that time frame. That's why I say quote unquote marriage, because I don't even consider that a marriage. We were based off of, in the beginning, an addiction, and it was all drug fueled,
Mm-hmm.
Versus now with my wife currently, it's like I'm in it. I'm wanting to fight for it. I didn't have that urgency in the previous one to stay and fight and to be a man and try to fix the household and to be humble and accept that I need to concede on some things and that she needs to concede on some things. That never occurred to me with my previous marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It was always like, no, fuck that. I don't care. I don't care what you want. You don't care what I want. So we're never going to see eye to eye. We never worked on seeing eye to eye or go to counseling or cared enough to even do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a good, honest perspective, though.
It is. I gotta be honest in the fact that my first marriage was a huge learning lesson on what to look for in the future in a person I want to be with, and what not to look for, and how to handle myself in those situations. Not going for the painful things to say or the kill shot, so to speak, of when you're talking to somebody, not stepping outside those lines of love and caring and stuff like that. Those are things that I think of now in my relationship.
Mm-hmm. You do a good job at it. You think you do a better job, a good job, or it's still the same?
I've definitely worked on it very hard. There's still times that I slip up because I'm a human being and a man on top of that. So when the testosterone goes, you get in. We're men. We have egos, right?
Sure.
So when there's problems, we automatically think, well, it's not me, it's you. Like that. That's just how we are in nature. But I'm humble in the fact that I've learned to sit back and evaluate a situation and play devil's advocate too. I know when I'm being an asshole or something like that. I can tell when I'm doing those things, and I evaluate myself and I correct them.
Yeah. You're an interesting cat with that. I like that about you. It's one of the things I really like about you is that if you're wrong, you admit it. You do it pretty fast too. Yeah. And I know we were talking through something. I'm not gonna mention what we were talking about, but we were talking about something last week, and I think I kind of posed a question to you and said kind of the same thing. And you were like, within like a minute, you're like, "Wow, I didn't see it from that perspective."
Yeah.
Like, man, I probably shouldn't have done it that way, or something like that. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I shouldn't have spoke that way.
Yeah. 100%. Like, I know better than that. That's better than, I'm better than that in doing it. And I swear you admitted it within like minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people have that quality. And that's a very admirable quality and one I respect.
Dude, it's taken a lot of life lessons to learn that, though. Like, I'm not saying I'm a perfect individual, but
No.
I like to say that I stumble perfectly, because when I stumble, I always learn something.
Yeah.
Always. You
And
know,
at least you admit to it and you man
Yeah.
up, because so many people
Yeah.
just don't fucking man up or woman
No.
up, you know, either whatever context you want to put it.
Yeah.
Like they don't fucking just pony up for what they did and just
Right.
say, man, I fucked up right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Now
It'll make you a better person. Don't be a pushover in the fact that you concede to everything.
Yeah, it
You
will.
truly look in the mirror and see the negative effects you've had or your part in whatever you caused.
Sure.
And you can own those things. You'll be a better person for it.
Yeah, you will. And you know, if you mess up, you're gonna have to learn from it. You know, sometimes you can't always take back what you said and use that
Right.
too. And that's sometimes I think we all need to realize that is like you can't take back what you said to
No.
somebody that was
And
mean.
words do fucking hurt, dude.
They hurt the worst, man.
They do.
You know, it's if somebody stabs you in the heart, you know, like that, like literally, physically, you're going and you're gonna die fast. If
Yeah.
somebody starts poking you in that area shortly, it's gonna be slow and prodding. And that's kind of like that with words. Slow and prodding, that stuff hurts people.
Especially when you're the head of the household, so to speak, and you're the one that's supposed to protect and build your family up and your wife and stuff like that, and then you say some hurtful shit that you can't take back. It's the worst feeling in the world, man, because I'll tell you what, there's been many times that I wish I just had a time machine to just get over I should have just bit my tongue, or I should have just held my breath and not said what I had on my mind. You know, if I would have just thought in that instance, it would have saved a lot of hurt and a lot of disappointment. You know, when you hurt a woman like that, and you betray that, they're very, especially if their upbringing has been rough and stuff, they expect you to be like everybody else. Everybody else has come in their life and left and things like that. They expect you to follow suit. So you have to be more fragile and caring when dealing with women like that. You know, you have to be more tender, more caring, and realize their past traumas that they've been through have brought them to be the person they are. So you have to tread carefully with things you say, you know, because you can't take those things back. And women hold on to the words more than men do. That's a fact. That's a fact.
But they internalize it a lot more, is what you're saying?
They internalize it a lot more, and then the next time shit goes off, they remember those things, and it builds up on them. Versus, you know, we as men, usually when things are said, because we do it to each other, right? Like you and I, like, we've had disagreements, we've said it, we're done, we had our conversation, it's over, we never bring it up again.
You move on from that shit.
You move on from
they let it fester on them off.
They let it fester on them, and then if you get anywhere near a similar situation, that past experience that they had with you is brought up tenfold.
I think with men, though, too, in fairness, I think something to say about men is we're very dismissive, though, as well. Like when we make a mistake and say something shitty, just saying, you know, we say something mean and hurtful, like we'll admit it. And then sometimes people can't forgive very quickly for that. It's going to take them a long time. We're very dismissive in the way is we start getting agitated when they won't forgive us after a day or two sometimes. You know, and we're like,
we do that.
Yeah, because we're like, okay, you said something mean to me, fuck it, all right, it was mean and nasty, it was, you know, whatever, I'm over it, you know, no worries, let's just not go down that road again.
Right.
Them, you know, I'm not saying every female's like this or every male's like this, I'm just saying generally, but for many of the females, you know, they'll hold that shit in, man, and it hurts. And it digs at them a lot more. And we're just like, we want that gratification when we apologize of immediately.
I want you to fucking forgive me right now.
Just forgive me right now. You know?
Yeah.
It does, but you know that, and I do too. That shit don't work that way with most people.
It don't work like that.
No, it don't work that way with most people because, whew, those are the worst ones, man. They go on for like ever.
Yeah.
And if somebody's out there and you've never had one of these in your life, you're a fucking liar.
You're lying. You're lying out your ass.
You're full of shit.
And that's kind of what I told my wife, you know, when this last stint of us having a disagreement and stuff, it's like we're not the only ones that go through this shit. You know,
everybody does.
Everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through their stint of a up and a down in a marriage, and the marriages that work are the ones that you stay and you fight for it. You can either run or you can stay and fight for it. You know, it's all in a matter of both of you giving in to each other. Eventually, you both have to concede to each other. It can't be one person doing it. It'll never work, you know? So when you both have that humility and come together and realize Okay, you've done some things, I've done some things. We love each other unconditionally. Are we really wanting to end this all over this stupid ass disagreement? You know, if you can come to that conclusion, or if you want to sit down and write on a board the pros and cons of your relationship, if the cons outweigh your pros, then you know your answer.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a helpful tool for people. You know, if you can sit there and you can write down more pros than cons, then the relationship's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
If you can't and it's all negative, it may be time to cut it loose.
Well, I think you got to look at the cons too and see if they're fixable ones. I think that's another layer you got to kind of add on to that one.
Sure.
You got to make sure you can fix those things too.
Right. And live with them.
Yeah. There's some people that just aren't capable of wanting to change who they are. And, they might have a lot of negative qualities, but they just don't want to see it, or they just don't want to put the effort in, or they just like who they are and they don't want to change that no matter who it hurts.
And that's okay too. That's when you walk away and you find the person that you're compatible with, like you were talking about.
Yeah. No moss. This isn't going to work. I get it. We're different.
Life's too short, dude. Like, you want to figure it out now, because I'll tell you what, you don't want to be waking up 50, 60 years old and be stuck in a shitty, like a job. You don't want to wake up one day and still be a fucking dishwasher and be miserable.
Yeah.
You don't want that for your marriage or your relationship either. If you're fucking miserable, address it now, see if it's something you can fix and work with. If you can't, it may be time to walk away.
And holding on too long does sometimes just is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's just,
unless you're just better.
Yeah. Unless you're just willing to accept that that's the way it's going to be for the rest of your life. And that's what you're willing to deal with, and you're willing to deal with that. If you can accept that, great. If not, if you know it's over and done and it's never going to change, do you really want to cheat yourself out of life all the time too?
Well, and the worst thing that I see for people is like when it's financially motivated. When you stay just because you're financially comfortable, or you're just, the one person's the breadwinner and you're not, or whatever the fuck.
Most often that's the case of why people stick around, is due to finances.
Right. And I think that's the most bullshit, cowardly, cop-out thing to do in a relationship, because, if you're miserable, there ain't no amount of money on this earth that's worth it, So that's just my opinion on that. I've seen some friends go through that situation where they've just fallen out of love to the point where they sleep in separate rooms. Like what we're talking about, the kiss of death of the relationship, and they still stick together because one makes more money than the other, or together that's the only way they're going to make their ends meet. To me, man, I would rather be homeless than be stuck in a relationship or a marriage miserable. That's just a fact.
That answers my question, I think, that I was going to ask you, because I was going to say, so what would you do in this situation? But I think you just gave me my answer to that. But somebody says, okay, you got to stay in this awful relationship that you're never going to change. It's never going to get better. This person, you're not going to be able to stand being around them because you can't stand them now. And you can get $10 million or $20 million or $5 million, a good chunk of money. Just stay put with them. Or do you walk away eventually when you know it can't be fixed and it's completely done, and go seek and find your happiness? Or do you take the $5-10 million, whatever they're offering? What would you do?
I'd be out quicker than shit. There's no amount of money that somebody can pay me nowadays to stay in something, because I've wasted enough time doing that. You know what I mean? I've wasted enough time, not just in relationships and stuff, but even friendships and like just regular relationships in life. I'm a codependent person, so I'm a problem solver. That's one of my toxic traits. I put other people's shit first, so then my shit piles up, and by the time I try to go handle my stuff, it's so fucking far gone that I don't know where to start, And so I've wasted so much of that time that I'm starting to realize and finally figure out for myself that it's okay for me to put myself first. It's okay to take care of my own shit, because eventually, if I don't take care of my own shit, those people that I'm problem solving for, I'm not going to be able to do anything for anyways, because it's going to bring me down to that level of not being okay, not being stable, financially or mentally. I'm not tending to my own stuff, so therefore my shit is getting unorganized, my shit is getting crazy and out of hand, and I'm not tending to it. So I can't go solve everybody else's problems until mine are solved.
I think not taking the money from that question shows a lot about what you value too. Because you're saying I value happiness and being with somebody who's valuable to me.
I'm not addicted to chaos. I want so much peace in my life because I've had so much chaos.
And that's all you want is a good, peaceful,
normal
stable life.
situation.
You don't
right?
want to be around anybody that's a fucking cancer to be around.
Exactly.
That's a pain in the ass to be around and miserable and
100%.
makes you unhappy.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you though, if people out there, and shoot a message over to the show if you want, and check it, shoot a message over to the show, our email address, our YouTube, whatever, and let us know your thought, because I bet you a lot of people's answer would be the opposite of yours. So what would you
What
guys
about
do?
you?
Would you take the bag of cash, people, or would you stay unhappy?
What
I think
about you, John? Would you take the bag of cash?
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
Same point of view?
Yeah, 100%. I crave that. I sacrificed too much of my happiness for too long of my life.
Yeah.
And I mean, not like, I'm not going to say it was like a miserable life or anything like that, because that would be unfair to say that. But there was a lot of years I wasn't happy that I should have stopped settling, and I could never go back. I would never go back and be like I was, where I settled for somebody that was just not right for me and just did not make me happy. I would never waste my time again. And if I could probably go back and do something different in life, I would have. I wish I would have maybe learned that lesson a little bit earlier in life. And but everything happens for a reason, and it worked out the way it did in life. And I'm extremely happy and blessed, and in a great place, and everywhere in my life and my relationships, and my personal life and everything. So it works out. But I would not take the money. As much as I love money, as much as it'd be nice for 10 million, I could never live that way again, man, with somebody that I didn't want to be around. Never. It's the worst fucking feeling in the world. Like, think about how many people out there, like, if you're listening to this right now and you felt this way, or you've been in this way, where you're like dreading to come home because you just don't want to see that person.
Like, you'll drive around the block just to not be home, or you'll think of extra things at work to do.
The fucking boss says, you do a new filing system here. It needs to be done in 2 months. I'll stay all week long, boss, and do it.
Yeah, I'll get it done now.
Yeah, like, I'll be here till 11 o'clock at night working on this shit.
Yeah, those are kiss of death signs that I like to call them in relationships. Like, if you're doing that, done. If you can't stand the air, breathing the same air as your partner, it's done.
Yeah,
it's done. It's over. You have to be smart enough to recognize when enough's enough.
Yeah.
It's like with me. Like, I wasted a lot of time with substance abuse and stuff like that. Like, I wasted so much of my life, my younger youth, substance abuse and things of that nature. Then come full circle with my first marriage, I wasted however long on that. So I'm just done wasting time at this point. Like, you do so much of that, and it's so negative and so chaotic. And it's not a quality of life worth living, and I'm not talking suicide, thoughts or anything like that before anybody goes there. I'm saying it's not a quality of life to be stuck in.
Yeah.
And then when you are aware of that and you're ready to make that move, it's the most liberating feeling on planet Earth when you do that. When you actually get up and take action and reclaim your life, it's so much better.
And we're not out here advocating for divorce, folks.
No,
okay,
work it out.
Somebody's going to clip something out of context always and take something for what it's not. We're not advocating for divorce right here. We're just saying, that it's okay sometimes when you can't do it, even though it's not what you the desired result. Like, sometimes it has to just be done.
Yeah,
I'd rather be happy and chase my dreams or be with somebody that puts me
pushes
first.
You for that.
Yeah, supports me, cheers me on.
Yeah,
I'd rather do that all day long than just live a life for money or live a life to be in a relationship and say, well, at least I'm not a statistic. I stayed unhappily married for 75 years, but at least I'm not a statistic. Fuck that.
You only get one chance in this life, man. If you spend your time with people that you're miserable with, if you spend your time in relationships you won't want to be a part of, if you spend your time doing projects that you don't want to be a part of, doing things for other people, you're never living for yourself, which is the most important when you wake up in the morning. If you're not living for yourself, you can't live for anybody else.
If you ain't happy with yourself and if you're not happy with who you are and what you're doing in life, man, it's a miserable thing to wake up like that every day when you're not feeling happy and content in life.
It is, and I think that's a lot of the Prozac nation that we live in, why everybody's on medications and things like that, because it's a big coping situation that nobody's truly honest with themselves. Nobody stays true to themselves anymore. It's all about living for other people and doing for other people and stuff. And I'm not saying go out there and be fucking selfish.
Yeah.
But I am saying get out there and live life and don't cripple yourself in situations that, for financial gain or whatever the situation may be, comfortability, whatever that case may be. Don't get stuck in situations you don't want to be a part of. Live life to the fact that, the people that you keep in your inner circle, your spouse, your best friend, your brother, your sister, whatever, those are the people that will be there, like you were talking about, when you fall forward. Those are the people that are going to drag you across that finish line. Make sure those are the people that you're living for, not the ones that are creating chaos in your life, not the ones that are bringing toxicity in your life, that makes you turn to substance abuse or other negative aspects of what you could be doing. Always have people that make you have positive outcomes.
Good points, man. Really good topic tonight. I really enjoyed discussing this with you. It's
absolutely.
It's fun to just, it's fun to take self-inventory sometimes. We take that inventory on ourselves and see what we're doing right and wrong. I know going through this conversation tonight and giving advice, listening to your thoughts, listening to mine, thinking about them, it's like I'm thinking in my head right now, there's still a few things I'm not doing the right way. Like, I'm going to take my advice on a few of these things tonight that we talked about and be like,
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely could tweak that up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's important to take that self-inventory. And if you're out there listening and you're not taking inventory of yourself, you're doing something wrong.
You're doing something wrong.
You got to look into yourself because that's how you get better. That's how you become a better version of yourself. And that's how you become the best husband, wife, sister, brother, mother, father, whatever, all those different titles you can have by taking a little inventory of yourself, learning about it and fixing it.
It's always good to check ourselves, man. Because we're the only ones that will truly do it at the end of the day. You got to look in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
You're the only one that can give you that reality check.
Yeah. No, you read my mind on the reality check part. I was like, it's the harshest reality check in the world sometimes, but it's the one we need.
Yep, for sure, man.
All right. Closing thoughts, man. And we'll head on out.
I'm really excited, man, on the wrestling side of things. Everybody, if you're a wrestling fan, go over there. Check out the great interview we just had with Ricardo Rodriguez, former manager of Alberto Del Rio. We dove into some deep shit with substance abuse. I felt like it was a great communicative effort on his end. The outreach that he has and all the positive outcomes and stuff that he's creating on his end, with recovery centers and everything else, man. That was such an incredible interview that we did. Very touching. So I hope everybody goes over there, checks that out, gives it a like.
I played it on the radio last week, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I used it as an episode for Random Conversations last Sunday because I wanted them to hear it too.
Dude, such an amazing episode. One of the best interviews we've ever done. Love the guy to death. Look forward to talking to him in the future. Go check that stuff out. And we're going to have a lot more stuff coming down the road, man. There's a lot of there's wake up call episodes we're going to do. We're going to dive into conspiracy stuff a little bit. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about fun things as well. And motivating things. So, stay tuned. We got a lot of great content coming up.
I'm looking forward to doing another conspiracy theory one, but every time we do one, we get in trouble.
It's kind of crazy that it's 9/11 we're talking about this.
I know, right? We did do that.
That was neck of the woods, man. I know that was what we got our first strike for.
Yeah, that was our first boo-boo that we made over there by just discussing the topic of 9/11 and some of the some of the myths potentially of it and all the questions people have. It's amazing how when you do these conspiracy theory shows, you get pushed down to the bottom and you get hit pretty hard by
shadow banned.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll get one on the next one, right?
Yeah. I'd like to dive into JFK, man. That's something that I got obsessed with for a little bit, looking into.
You got to send me the information on it that you got, so I could read up on it and get more well versed on it. I've had some interesting conversations with my dad about the time too.
I'll tell you this much: the person that I think is the shooter is not going to be somebody anyone has ever spoken about before.
All right, I'm interested when we do that. Then
I'm gonna say that the shooter was in the same vehicle.
Yeah, I know where you're going with it.
Yeah,
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down on this.
Yeah.
Well, good future topic that we can definitely discuss on the show here, and come back every Sunday night if you're listening to this on radio on WDJY from 10 to 11 p.m. Eastern time. Every Sunday night, you can find it on WDJYFM.com. Click Listen Live. There you go. And if you miss it, it goes right up on our YouTube, Random Conversations. And I don't really put up anything on Facebook. I'm really bad about social media, and it's my own fault. But sometimes I'll put stuff up on our Facebook occasionally. I'm just terrible at it. And we have enough things going on. So social media is not always our strong point. So, but we're always putting the episodes up on our YouTube, so you guys can check it out there. And it's on audio on all major podcast outlets as well. You can get all episodes there too. So, all right, guys, I think that's enough cheap, selfless plugs for the show and all that we're doing. Thanks for your time and attention. We'll see you real soon here on Random Conversations. For Richie, I'm John. We're out of here. We'll see you later. Be safe, be good, and thank you for listening.